Many home cooks have an absolute fear of frying, but making fried shrimp in your own kitchen, well, it's really quite simple. And when you bite into that crunchy coating that covers the tender seasoned shrimp within, you're gonna have to agree that it's much better than anything you'll find in a restaurant. Let's get started. By the way, this lesson is from our Mastering Shrimp class, which is out now on ATK classes on the America's Test Kitchen app. Now in this class, you'll learn how to purchase, prepare, and even brine shrimp to keep them moist and tender. And we're gonna show you how to put the shells to work to add more shrimp flavor to just about any dish. You'll learn different techniques for cooking shrimp as you make weeknight-friendly dishes with bold, bright flavors, and you're gonna learn at your own pace and have lots of fun while you do it. But first, let's talk about fried shrimp. Anytime you're frying foods, it's a good idea to get as many of the components all settled and done before you start cooking. And with shrimp, the cooking goes very fast. So let's get started with our sauce. Now this is kind of a hybrid of two really well-known seafood dipping sauces. We've got cocktail sauce and tartar sauce. We're gonna mix them together. So I've got a half cup of ketchup, one of the best ingredients ever invented, one of my favorites, mixed with another one. This is a half cup of mayonnaise. So you got that tart, we got the creamy in there, yum. This is a quarter cup of prepared horseradish. I'm gonna give it a little zing and kick. This is 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire, a teaspoon of lemon juice. We've got a half a teaspoon of Old Bay seasoning. It's a pretty traditional blend of spices, you know it well. And then finally, this is a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, but we've got the mayonnaise to kind of cool things down so it won't be too hot. All right, I'm gonna take a little whisk here. Now you can make this in advance if you want, just store it in the fridge. But don't tell anybody about it, otherwise they will start dipping everything into it. All right, let me set this aside. Now we're gonna work on a really fabulous seasoning that's gonna go directly on our shrimp. And you'll see that's kind of a theme here. We're seasoning everything because fried foods can often be, well, kind of tasteless. They just taste like crisp, bready things. We wanna make sure that everything is really hyper seasoned. So this is just 3/4 teaspoon of salt. That's the base of our mix. I've got a teaspoon of granulated garlic, got a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, so a little zing there too, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So 2 different kinds of heat, really going to give our shrimp tons of flavor. So that looks great, so let me get the shrimp here. All right, so for our recipe today, we are using 1.5 pounds of extra large shrimp. That means that there are 21 to 25 shrimp per pound. Again, we're using 1.5 pounds. That's why you see more than 21 to 25 here. We do want to prep our shrimp. We've already peeled it, we've deveined it, we've left the little tails on, and we want to pat dry the shrimp, and that's to make sure that our coating that we're gonna use in a minute does not come away from the shrimp. If you end up with wet shrimp and then you go to batter it or bread it, sometimes if there's too much moisture in there, it could kind of puff and release the coating away from the shrimp. We want the coating to stick to the shrimp. So it pays to do this. You wanna make sure patted dry really well. I've gone ahead and done the second side already. So now I just want to sprinkle our spice mixture directly on the shrimp. Just need to get it on one side there. So it's a really potent spice mixture. Whenever you're coating things, it's a good idea to be a little judicious the first time around. That way you can always go back and add more, but you don't want to dump all of the seasoning on the first couple of shrimp. All right, so these are just about coated. I'm going to go back and add more. Now there was quite a bit of salt in this particular seasoning. Again, it was 3/4 teaspoon of table salt. And that's going to help those flavors to work their way into the shrimp. And it's also going to help the shrimp to retain their juiciness. So just overall a good thing to do. All right, let's move on down to our next component. So for our coating, we're using a 2-part coating. We want it to be substantial, really well seasoned, and also very crisp. So let me show you what we're doing. Starting off with making a batter. This is a half a cup of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add a half a cup of water. Doesn't look like much yet, that's okay. We're gonna add 2 eggs. That's going to give the batter a little bit of heft. And we're gonna season this batter. I've got a half a teaspoon of table salt. So again, just seasoning at every step. And a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Take my whisk, and this is the point that I really want to take my time, make sure to get out any lumps in here, because nobody wants to bite into a piece of fried shrimp that's got a hush puppy attached to it. Actually, that sounds really good. I would totally buy that. so that looks good. Now, we're not just using the batter, we're also going to use some breadcrumbs. It's 2 cups of panko breadcrumbs, and they have an almost grated, flaky texture, and that's perfect because they're already crisp. So in combination, these 2 things, we're gonna get our heft, we're gonna get our seasoning from our batter, but we're gonna get that ultimate crispness from the already crisp panko. All right, so we've got our panko ready, we've got our batter, our seasoned batter ready. Let's start breading. So we're gonna take our shrimp one at a time, just hold it by the tail, and I'm going to dip it in the batter. I'm gonna let any excess kind of fall away here. Doesn't take long. Keeping this hand nice and clean, we're going to coat the shrimp with the panko. I like to press it right on there. All right, just to make sure it's good adherence. Now I'm gonna put it right on a clean sheet pan here. So you can see the little tails exposed. Again, that's gonna be for dipping. All right, let me do another one here. Again, into the batter, let it drip, and into the panko. This is a great opportunity to get your kids cooking with you. This is a nice, easy task for them. And if you're lucky, you can sucker them into washing the dishes as well. All right, I'm gonna finish breading all of these, and then we'll clean up. The shrimp look great. They're all breaded, almost ready to go. I want to put these into the fridge and get the shrimp nice and cold while we heat up our oil, but you can leave them in the fridge up to 2 hours in advance. While our shrimp are chilling, we're going to heat up our oil. Now I've got 1.5 quarts of vegetable oil that I'm heating over medium-high heat until it reaches a temperature of 350 degrees. That's the right temp. It's gonna crisp up the shrimp very quickly. It's not gonna burn it. Now, if we fry at a much lower temp, the shrimp can turn out a little bit greasy. So again, 350 is the magic number. Now, a few frying best practices here. We've got a large Dutch oven. This is a 6-quart Dutch oven. You want a large pot so that will avoid any boilovers. Definitely don't want that. And this is an enamel cast iron pot, so it's gonna really retain that heat. That's gonna help us with frying. Now the frying process goes just like that, super fast, so we want to be ready on the other side. So I've got a rimmed baking sheet lined with a triple layer of paper towels. That's ready to receive the beautiful fried shrimp on the other end. All right, 350, that's the magic number. Now we can add our shrimp. We're going to cook it in 3 batches, and that's so that we don't overload the oil with too many shrimp, which would lower the temperature of the oil. Again, that will lead to greasy shrimp. We don't want that. Now you can add each batch 1 shrimp at a time, but I like to use one of these skimmers and just put a few shrimp in there, probably 4 will fit right in here, and we can add 4 at a time. So I'm gonna go right into the oil here, and as I go in there, I just wanna move them around so they don't stick to each other, and I'll quickly add 4 more here. There we go. So it's about 12 shrimp per batch here. Another 4. Oh, it smells so good. In it goes, and now once the last batch has gone in, stirring it, we want to let this cook only for a minute or 2 until they get really beautiful brown and crisp. All right, let's take a look-see. I mean, come on, deep golden brown color. Oh, let's get them to our paper towel lined plates. These cook super quick, but you can see how crisp they are, and that's because we used the panko there. If we were to just use batter, the shrimp would have had to spend too much time in the pot in order to get that crisp. There we go. Don't have to be precious at this point. You can see it's really clung to the shrimp too. So now we just have to wait until our oil is back up to 350, which by the way, it is. We are there. So we're gonna add our second batch, loading up our skimmer here 4 at a time and cook it exactly the same way. All right, let's take a look at the second batch here. Oh my goodness, maybe better than the first batch. Let's just put this on our tray. Oh, yeah, Long John Silver's got nothing on us. All right, just have to fry that last batch, and then I'm gonna clean up and we can eat. Can't wait to tuck in here. I'll be a little judicious here and not take too much, of course, some of that beautiful sauce. Now, if you do dip it right into the bowl, I promise I won't tell. All right, so. Can you hear that? That is so crunchy, really crisp. Shrimp isn't greasy at all. And then inside is beautiful and tender and really well seasoned. These shrimp are flavored from the inside out, and it all started with that mix of spices and salt. The salt draws the flavors into the shrimp and helps keep the shrimp nice and juicy. Now, we battered the shrimp before dipping them into already crisp panko crumbs, and that ensured an unbelievably crunchy coating that stuck right to the shrimp. Finally, we fried it all in batches, and that prevented the cooking oil temperature from dropping and helps the shrimp to turn golden brown without overcooking. Don't forget that lovely sauce too. Hope you enjoy the fried shrimp. I know I'm going to enjoy it right now. Goodbye. Now that you know how to fry shrimp to perfection, you're ready to take the next step. And with ATK classes, you'll get access to a wide variety of lessons filled with masterful techniques, helpful videos, and step-by-step photos. From knife skills and making hand-rolled pasta to baking and frosting incredible cakes. And there's so much more. So download the America's Test Kitchen app and start learning with ATK classes today.